weren't you at the event tonight?
I don't know. I'll tell you after we record.
Ready, set, go.
All right, imagine you're sitting on an airplane and you're coming onto the runway, and there's obviously a reason you're on the airplane. You're thinking of like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be on this vacation. I'm so excited to go home. Like you guys definitely have a reason to be on the airplane, and it's just such an exciting feeling. Well, imagine something went wrong. It could be a really scary feeling, right? Well, the LaGuardia Airport incident is a reflection of this, because an Air Canada airplane was arriving into LaGuardia Airport, and at the same time a fire truck was also going across the runway at the same time, and they happened to crash into each other on March 24th, 2026. And this was all caused by miscommunication, and this impacted the lives of others, and now there's further action being taken place to help prevent this in the future. And I feel like just by understanding all of this, we can all just be more aware of what's happening around us, and it's just helpful for all of us. And I feel like just for me myself, like every time I'm in the airplane, like I think about, like if something went wrong, like how would I be able to not prevent, but just help to maintain the situation for myself. And, like I said, I'll be going over how the crash was caused, how it impacted others, and how it can be prevented in the future. And to start, we can look at how this was all caused. And collisions can happen that can just be out of our control, and we need to have ways to prevent them. And according to an MSN article published on March 25th, 2026, right before midnight, there was an Air Canada airplane that was arriving into LaGuardia Airport. And when this happened, there obviously was a fire truck that was going across the runway at the same exact time. And when the fire truck was going across the runway, according to Chris Van Cleves, who's a national correspondent, there was actually an odor detected on a United Airlines airplane, and that's why the fire truck was there. And according to an ABC article published on March 30th, 2026, there was a landing checklist that was actually complete for the Air Canada airplane to come onto the runway. And there's transponders that are communicating to the airplane and to the fire truck. And, they had both been cleared to go on the runway at the same time, and they had honestly miscommunicated to each other, and they had both forgotten to communicate to the others that one was going on the runway and you needed to wait for the other. And by the time they both had realized that they needed to cross, it was just too late. And this often goes to show that miscommunication leads to serious events, and this affected everyone involved. And another thing is that many people were involved in this accident, and outcomes like this, there are many small mistakes that lead to all these events occurring. And according to a CBS article published on March 25th, 2026, the crash killed 2 people, which are the pilots. There were 40 people that were treated, and 76 people in total were involved in the accident. And even though everyone was safe, except for the pilots, everyone was still seriously impacted, and this caused long-term, emotional and physical damage because of everything. And, I think about all these people, and I think about, imagine going on an airplane the next time and just think about oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Think about the time that I was on the airplane, or, this could affect how they, view air travel in the future. And lastly, there's further action being taken place that affects air travel. Accidents in the air are very serious, and they cause serious repercussions because many people are involved in them. And according to an NBC New York article published on March 24th, 2026, the FAA actually encouraged more transponders to be on vehicles of airplanes and fire trucks. And there's an ongoing investigation for the LaGuardia Airport because they had speculated that there weren't enough transponders to be put on both the airplane and the fire truck. And having standard equipment is a given, and that's what should have happened. And there are guidelines being reinforced. There are investigations being conducted, and people are getting to the root cause of why this all happened and holding people responsible. And so now we're able to see the process of what happens, and now I'll do a recap. now we're able to see how miscommunication affects all of this, how it impacted everyone involved, and how, we can have further action to prevent all of this. And with all of this information, there are a lot of things that can happen outside of our control, and it's something for all of us to be aware of. And so next time you're in a stressful situation, just make sure to take a deep breath and know what is around you.